You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. Now the number one sports podcast network in the world with the only Chris Level. I'm Casey Cowan. Back again, Chris. Thanks for some time to catch up on what was going down in the Big 12 Conference this week. And in addition to these teams, these head coaches represent going down, it also seemed like, I don't know, some spiraling taking place at the microphone, which actually reminded me once upon a time of an era gone by. I'll get to coming up in just a moment. But, man, I couldn't let this go by without catching up with you on what we saw in two specific instances. One of those Texas Tech had a lot to do with, as Colorado head coach Tad Boyle expressing some thoughts following the game. I still think, for as intriguing and entertaining as his spiel was, he was playing second fiddle to another guy getting national headlines as a result of his reaction to a bowl game. That's Jerome Tang in Manhattan, Kansas. Before we chuckle and figure out what to make of all of this, let's take a listen to both of the aforementioned head coaches processing two losses this week.
This was embarrassing. These dudes do not deserve to wear this uniform. There will be very few of them in it next year. I'm embarrassed for the university. I'm embarrassed for our fans, our student section. You know, it is just ridiculous. We got practice at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, and we will get this thing right. I have no answer, no words. So y'all got two questions. So whoever want to ask two questions, I'll answer them to the best of my ability right now. But right now, I'm pissed, and this. Yeah, this is all right. Questions?
I mean, that was just a good old-fashioned ass whipping. I don't. There's just no other way to say it. You know, a lot of you guys are from West Texas. You probably know what that is, and we took one tonight. So credit Texas Tech. You know, they have a motto with their program that the toughest team wins, and there wasn't even question who the tougher team was tonight, and that was Texas Tech, and we weren't. And so I'm embarrassed by our performance. I'm embarrassed for our university. I'm embarrassed for the city of Boulder. I'm embarrassed for the state of Colorado. I'm embarrassed for every former player that's worn this uniform. And we got to own this. But, you know, when you give up 17 offensive rebounds and then the biggest part of the game plan is taking away their threes from their shooters, and they make 12 threes, and then we foul them on another one with 0.3 seconds to go into the first half, you know, it's just not good enough in any way, shape, or form. You know, I started my career as a head coach at Northern Colorado in the Big Sky, and we would travel to Bozeman, Montana, and Missoula, and, you know, Utah, Pocatello, Idaho, and we would always fly commercial, you know, and you'd lose on the road, and you'd get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you catch a 6 a.m. flight back to Denver and then drive an hour to Greeley, and that's what we deserve right now. We deserve to be on a 6 a.m. flight out of Lubbock, commercial, Southwest, whatever airline you choose. We don't deserve a charter plane back to Boulder tonight. We got one. We paid for it. But we wasted our money. We wasted our university's money, and that's on me. So I'll take the ownership of this because I'm the head coach and the buck stops with me. But I'm embarrassed. I've not said I've embarrassed very often. Pat, you've followed us a long time, but I'm embarrassed tonight.
Laughing at another man's pain, not something I frequently do, Chris, but there's some all-time reactions going on this week.
Sports, man. I mean, like, you know, at some level, it's not that serious, but you know, in certain situations, it is, and it's big business. I'm sure that in both cases, there's just a lot of money going on, and I mean, Tad Boyle mentions it. We wasted our university's money and this and that, but it's like, you know, now that you're paying players and you're all these things, I just think there's a different level of pressure that coaches feel look, Tad Boyle is a really good basketball coach. People may not that are listening to us may not realize like what they were able to do in that Pac-12 timeframe that they were in. This guy, he's coached multiple first-round draft picks. He's been there 16 years. They've been to NCAA tournaments. But I don't know what their NIL situation is right now. I'm going to guess that it's probably not great because obviously their football situation is not great. That's been well publicized.
New AD, right? Didn't they just get a new? Or
and he took the job. I think wasn't he one that took the job sight unseen, or was that the?
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's just a lot, right? And so they'd won 2 of 3 because I think the Kansas State situation and what Jerome Tang said, this is a completely different thing.
First, today's episode brought to you by TurboTax. And tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without any stress or guesswork. So instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online, and they're going to handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms. And of course, they'll work to get you every deduction. It's a huge time saver and will give you real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it all. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done right now by a local TurboTax expert for only $150 all in if a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year. Just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local. That's TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today.
And what Jerome Tang said, this is a completely different thing.
Yeah.
But Tad Boyle's in no jeopardy, I think, of losing that job unless he doesn't want it anymore. I think they just got to figure it. He decided to go young. They have 8 freshmen on their team, 8. And they don't have the kind of freshmen that, Arizona's playing starting 2 freshmen. They're playing a couple of others, and they're like number 1 team in the country, or were. These are not those kinds of freshmen. Okay, he's into development. He kind of, when everybody was yinning, he was yanging. He's like, you know what? I'm going to try to scoop up some better younger players. Maybe we can hold on to them and develop them, kind of the old way of doing things. But, 78-44, you lose by 34 points, and I guess he just had enough. They kind of tell on themselves with all the switching up of their starting lineup, and we're going to work this guy in the rotation, and this guy's not going to play. You're searching, and if you're searching in mid-February, odds are you may not find it. If you've been tinkering and you're still searching in mid-February, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. The season's almost over, so I just think it just kind of hasn't worked. But they're still fighting competitive on most nights. I just mentioned to you the TCU game early in our show earlier today that and that TCU may be an NCAA tournament team. Okay, now let's get to Jerome Tang. The old purple folks up there. This is a wild situation. This is an Elite 8 coach in the first year. It was very new and different from Bruce Weber. It was a different style of play. We're running into the stands. We're doing the Wabash Cannonball. We're taking off our shirt. We're just, everybody bought it hook, line, and sinker. We give this man and look, I want to be clear here because I think it's fair to point this out. This is somebody that Grant McCaslin knows and loves. This is somebody that Joey McGuire knows and loves and respects. I think a lot of people do. For whatever reason, it is not working right now. They have spent a lot of money in NIL. That's the part that's probably the most painful. In the last couple of years, he has been able to get a significant amount of money and spend it, and it's been a disaster. You have you have fans that we got paper bags over our heads. Yes. People may have not seen that. It was 10 or so at the beginning of the game that grew to about 500. I don't know where these paper bags were coming from or where they were growing. If you're going to the concession stand, hey, you got an extra bag back there? I want to be a part of this group, not the group that I think Coach Tang would. And he said he was asked about it after the clip ended. There was a question. It's like, yeah, what do you think about it? He's like, I'd be embarrassed too. I mean, it's like this is inexcusable. But my thing is, if you're going to talk about they don't deserve to wear the uniform, we got practice 6 a.m. Shouldn't this have been done 6 weeks ago? Or maybe you need to look at who you're bringing into your program a bit harder. If they don't deserve, if they have no pride, these dudes. Because here's the tricky part, Calvin. A week ago, he was defending his group and telling everybody how proud of them he was.
Right.
So if you're a fan and you're like, do I want to purchase tickets and invest my time and emotions into this product? I don't know what to think about the group that you've assembled here, Coach, because you defend them and then you tell them they don't deserve to wear the uniform, like a week apart, basically. I mean, one of the
that was after he said, "I don't know the rules. If I knew the rules, I could get a good team." Basically.
So the goalpost, to use a football analogy, seems to be moving all over the place.
A little bit.
I think this is a good man that is just it's off the rails. I don't really feel sorry for him, and here's why. Good man or not, he is going to be well compensated, whether he's stuck there and is miserable and there's paper bag students in the stands, or they decide and come to him and be like, hey, can we work something out? We'd like to go our separate ways. They owe him basically like 18, 19 million, Calvin. Kansas State can't afford that. So short of Jerome Tang saying, I'll take half and I'll leave. I'm going to try to do that. I mean, which if I was him, I'd sit up there and tell you how I got a bunch of guys that are embarrassing and they don't deserve to wear the uniform. I'd do it for the next 2 years. I'm getting my money, right? If that's what you owe me. I mean, right? I mean, but it's got to be a miserable existence for all involved. Nobody is got to be enjoying themselves. Coach, player, fan, administration, maybe Casey Cowan is enjoying himself.
I'm impressed, entertained.
And I don't feel sorry for Kansas State at all. They're fans that they've lived a charmed life for many, many years. So this is how the other half lives. And we've been on that other side for many, many years. So deal with it, people.
Shout out to the bag guys. The one guy in particular, Bill Shakespeare said brevity is the soul of wit, and it's difficult. And the one guy that just wrote, "We ain't got dudes," loved it. A+ work. Saw what you're doing. Appreciated it. And I love the responses from these coaches. Much different, definitely, though both entertaining. Different context we're talking about for each coach, obviously. But you see like coaches kind of rail against the system more so now a lot in press conference settings. Like John Calipari will be kind of entertaining sometimes. With the Dabo Sweeney thing not too long. You'll see some of that still going on. You don't see a whole lot of get to the podium and say, my team stinks anymore.
I mean,
it used to happen, though. Remember these days? I mean, this used to not be all that rare of a thing.
Yes. And here's the thing. Kansas State got blown out in their building by another head coach that is absolutely on the hot seat.
Right.
And I think Cincinnati only owes Wes Miller like $4 to $5 million. Which seems like pocket change compared to what Kansas State would actually owe Jerome Tang. And they got blown out to the point where Baba Miller, who's going to be a draft pick, Red Raiders will see him in a week or so, he misses a free throw, and he comes right down the lane. Nobody even touches him, and he dunks it on his own missed free throw. Nobody so much as like even nudged him to take him. I mean, and it's like – yeah, but that's their problem. These are very different situations. But it's hard to make news in college basketball in February, especially with so much going on. And these weren't big wins theoretically that registered on the rankings meter or this or that. These are just like a couple of conference games. Sure, Texas Tech was supposed to win. Yes, Texas Tech was ranked, but nobody was going to bat an eye that they beat Colorado in a home game or that they won a lopsided game. But Tad Boyle, because of what he said, and then certainly Jerome Tang. But it's interesting, but refreshing. I appreciate these coaches, airing it all out because
I never want my guy to do it, but it's definitely entertaining to watch other programs have this happen. And this is totally just cosmic convergence, I suppose. But after the Tech game, go home last night, and I'm just taking in the cinematic classic Blue Chips. I'm watching the great Pete Bell. I didn't see Jerome Tang's comments till this morning, but I'm watching Pete Bell come into the locker room, opening scene, delivering lines that I'm thinking, Chris, this is even more like out there than I remember. This would never happen. Lines like, this is by far the worst team that's ever sat in this locker room. You don't deserve a locker room. You don't deserve uniforms. You should be playing in your jock straps. I thought, come on, this is some Hollywood hyperbole or something along those lines. Do you remember this scene? He comes in. It's hilarious. He talks about he's so sick of watching him play, he could throw up. He just gets depressed every time he's watching him play basketball.
I remember a lot from that movie because Tony was flunking TV.
That's right. That's right. I'm thinking there's no way this could ever be real. Hollywood fiction makers, etc. I wake up this morning, Jerome Tang saying the same thing.
and a reporter asked Coach Bell in some setting, "Did you cheat?" "Yeah, I cheated. We all cheated." And that right, happy because the donor in the back of the room was happy. He's like, "I will burn you down." I mean, it was just like, and here we are years later. It's like the movie Blue Chips, the movie The Program, back in with James Caan in it, and a place at the table, baby, and he smashes his head in the window of a car, and he's in the urinal shooting himself with roids and everything, and borrowing other people's urine. I mean, all this stuff seems so far fetched, and I don't know. Here we are, but shout out to Blue Chips. That's well done, Callan. I appreciate you taking in that cinematic masterpiece.
That's just divine intervention. I didn't know that it was going to play out that way. Every time we get ready to play, I just want to throw up.
I'm
bad sick of watching you guys. There's some classic lines in this. You gotta love
bad
it.
for Pete Bell's girlfriend / ex-wife. She just seemed like such the tortured soul. She wanted to believe in Coach Bell so much of who he was, and then she really was like, I don't know who you are because now you've cheated, and I don't know if you're telling me the truth. And it just was a sad deal. But
I'm so depressed I don't even want to talk about it. You're the dumbest team I ever coached. You guys think of something. I just want to go home and cry when I watch us play.
There you go.
To quote the great Pete Bell. Thankfully, not the life we're living in the LBK as we speak. T's and P's to those who are elsewhere. Chris, appreciate some extra time, my man, as we're getting ready for a big weekend. Hope you'll join us for a mailbag edition of the program and plenty more to come this week before we ship the Red Raiders off to the desert for a two-step, but starting with the Arizona Wildcats coming up on Saturday. So looking forward to getting ready for it all with you, and we'll see you for the next one.
Sounds good, man. Enjoyed it. Yeah, and thankfully these are other coaches. There's no doubt because we've seen some things in our time here in Lubbock, and so I'm not trying to necessarily point and laugh because I don't want somebody pointing and laughing at our fine institution or me or you. Right? It's going to happen eventually, but it sure is nice to watch somebody else just melt on occasion.
I'm here to be entertained.
Yes.
The ticket buying public.
That's
sports.
Laugh,
make me cry.
Yes, sports.
Something. All right, Chris. I feel appreciative for you and everybody out there joining us once again. Everydayers, all the timers, the Matador Mob. Hit our show notes and find a link to a free 14-day trial. That's your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text sent straight to your phone. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks as always for the time. Hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.